Hi everyone, welcome to this Reflex Piazza community Facebook reaction. Now this is exclusively relapse content, which is a time-lapse app from Reflex if you are not familiar. And I react to relapse content with photo content, but there's just so much to go through this week. I've separated the two. So if you want to see photo content, I'm not just saying this to try and get you to watch the video. For me, it's the strongest week in terms of, like, it's my favorite week anyway, in terms of just top to bottom, just great photographs. So go out and check that video out. But this one is all about the time lapses with relapse. So let's jump into it with someone asking for help here. So let's watch this time lapse. It's only 1 second long. It looks longer because it just loops. But the question is, having issues with relapse, I know it's totally me, but everything I do when I play it back goes super fast. Video for reference. So yeah, that's the point of a time lapse. So you capture real life at real speed, and then the time lapse condenses it, so you can see things happening over time that you wouldn't be able to see, or at least appreciate as it's happening in real time. So you might take a 10-minute time lapse and condense it down into 10 seconds. And your settings really influence that. So what's happening here is you've got traffic, which is really fast moving. So what you want to do with a fast moving subject is really shorten those interval times, and don't use any motion blur or any light trails or anything like that. If you want to get the smoothest possible time lapse, basically. And the longer you have the motion, the longer you have the intervals. So say if you choose 1 second, 2 second intervals with fast moving subjects, they will just fly by. You'll see in a minute with clouds and things, you can get away with 1 second, 2 seconds, because they're moving very slowly. So over that 1 second interval, right? So you've got the cloud moving, then you've got like one. Whereas with a fast moving car, you've got like whoosh, 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 one. So you can see how, I hope this makes sense to you. And if not, just let me know and I'll go out and just make another tutorial. If my tutorials that I've made so far, which you can check out on Reflex's YouTube channel, haven't hit the mark with you, if you're still finding that you're getting confused and not sure how to use relapse, just let me know and I'll make a better, more thorough tutorial for you. So let's jump into some of these next examples, and I think you'll get your question answered here. So we've got, okay, this is a similar situation to what you're facing with your traffic. So this is Luke here. I'm not saying this is bad or good. Look at how fast time is flying by. Now, Luke here says he's gone for 1 second intervals with 1 second of motion blur. And that has created this effect. You can see here, because he's traveling quite fast, it looks like he's on what I would call in England an A road, which is quite a road with a fast speed limit, like 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour, something like that. So when you're traveling at that speed, if you choose 1 second, your time lapse is going to look this fast. Whereas if you choose like half a second with no motion blur, it's going to look a lot not smoother, but slower, if you like. So we will see that there's one coming up. It's not this one. I'm going to come back to this one because I want to stick with this point here. Let's go away, notification. Watch this. Look at how much more slowly things appear to be passing by, because the intervals here will be half a second and there's no motion blur either, compared to Luke's. And again, this isn't a bad or good, this is just letting you know what different settings do. Versus, so it's up to you what sort of effect you want to create. Now, going back to the food, this is really cool. I love seeing stuff like this. I'm all for it. Any food that transforms during the heating up process, it's perfect for time lapses. And these, what are these? Homemade rolls have played their part perfectly here in this 16-second time lapse. That is so cool to watch. There's some really cool time lapses. Look at the way the bread like comes apart there. Very, very satisfying to watch indeed. Now, this one's really cool. Let me restart this. Get rid of this bloody notification. Let me start this again. Watch this ship here, the Black Pearl, sails away. And then the people start to gather. This bridge is going to move into position. Then you'll see the crowds going through the bridge. It's very, very cool. It's going to take just a few more seconds here. So here comes the bridge. And then everyone goes... whoop. I love watching time lapses like this where something is actually happening. It's not just like you can't play it on loop, for example. This has a definite beginning, a definite end, and time, you see the day progressing, if that makes sense. So let's go to the next one. Yeah, this is a very unusual one. This one you could play on a loop. There's nothing wrong with that. This is, according to Brian, he uses a clip-on mirage mirror. So I've probably seen these at some point, but I can't picture what one looks like. But this is a cool effect that you can get here. My initial impression was that it had been taken with some sort of puddle or a mirror, and then I learned it's a purpose-made mirror. I love these. Look like the Simpson clouds. I love how there's clouds in the foreground and in the background here, obviously with the castle right in the middle. Really, really interesting stuff. This, I've never seen anything like this before. So yeah, this is the coolest. It is Susan. And you'll see Susan's a photograph from Susan in this week's reaction to the photos. Really, really nice photo, so go and check that out. Right, next here, I love seeing, this is P.F. Bentley, who I've nicknamed Prolific Photographer Bentley. I love seeing the shadows from clouds rolling over hills and mountains on landscapes. Just so, so nice. I find it very tranquil, very calming, very soothing. This looks like it has... does it have motion blur? It's hard to tell with clouds. No, I don't think it has. I love how you can see the clouds like wisping and forming and things. Really nice. But look at how... keep an eye on this cloud's motion and look at the intervals. 1 second. Right? So this is 1 second. Now watch the next time lapse and see how the clouds differ. Can you see that? Now this isn't the best example to show the difference between intervals because Tim says there's 5 second motion blur effect as well. So these clouds must have been moving really, really slowly. Otherwise you'd see them whiz by the screen. I love the sun here, trying to poke through the clouds, and it just gets covered, and then wham! And then when it finally comes out, I just feel like warmth on my face. It's bizarre, but I love how the colours in the sky change over time. Look at this. This is what I'm saying about going back to the point of time lapses. You'd never see this sort of thing happening in real time. It's just happening too slow for our brain or our eyes to process. Really, really top stuff. I didn't give this a love. I need to. Boom. Right. So this is a follow-up from last week, which is from Melissa, who is our current photographer of the month. And she showed a dark version of this. And here we have the light version. Again, Melissa, I think you were one of the people who were saying about being still a bit confused with relapse. And if you want to make this time lapse even smoother, you can use ½ second intervals. Again, with no motion blur. It doesn't look like you've used motion blur here. But yeah, just use ½ second intervals and you'll be fine. Also, the slower you drive, the smoother your time lapse will look as well. Again, this looks like a fairly fast moving road, even though there's lots of twists and turns. Really nice. I like that it's been followed up and people were watching these videos. So, lastly, look at this. This is really, really nice. There's many things to love. Of course, I love the colours. I love the way the light is hitting this big wheel. I love the way that it's been framed with the top of this carousel in the middle of the big wheel. Love how the big wheel never stops moving throughout the whole time lapse. I love the motion blur making this look like really, really smooth. I love how it comes to a smooth stop and it goes and it accelerates nicely. And then you get the weird effect, like when you're driving and you're a passenger and you look at the car next to you and you see the wheel and the wheel drum or the wheel, what blinking heck? Wheel trim. Yeah, you can see the pattern in the wheel trim and it's not spinning really fast. It's just kind of like hovering there. That is doing that. It's like the helicopter rotor effect where certain frame rates, can make helicopters look like they're just hovering and the rotors are just not rotating at all. And this gives me those same sort of vibes. Really, really nice. And this is the maximum aspect ratio. So you've got a 4:3 here. A few of these are actually. This one is as well. So this person, Briggs, is getting the full resolution of the sensor. And he or she, looks like a he from what I can see, can crop in. Yeah, looks like, yeah. He can crop into 4K later, can add a slow pan and zoom and things like that, just to add to this as well. So that is this first ever, I suppose, Relapse exclusive Reflex Piazza Facebook group reaction. If you want to see the photos, I highly recommend you do, because it is really, really top stuff. Very, very inspiring for me. Both of these have been, and I look forward to seeing what you post next week. Have a good one, and I'll see you there.